Utah is famous for its dramatic desert landscapes and the orderly image of its Mormon communities. But there is another side that rarely gets talked about. Small towns that feel weird, unsettling, and sometimes downright chilling. Some are shaped by extremely strict religious and social rules. Others are nearly empty yet still alive on the map. And some are known for strange phenomena, local myths, dark history, or bizarre economies. From uranium mines to closed-off sect communities. In this video, we are going to explore 15 of Utah's weirdest towns. Each one carries its own story, and sometimes the strangeness feels more real than anything you could imagine. Get ready to see Utah from an unusual angle, slightly creepy, deeply fascinating, and impossible to forget. Our first stop is Hildale. This town is not strange because of folklore, but because it once existed under the rule of a single ideology. For decades, Hildale was known as a central stronghold of the FLDS, Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a sect that practiced extreme polygamy and rigid social control. At its peak, nearly everything, homes, jobs, even marriage partners, was decided by the sect's leadership. The town was almost completely sealed off from the outside world. Police, the mayor, and even the city council were once under the direct influence of religious authority. Children were relocated, disobedient men were expelled, and girls were married off at very young ages. In 1953, the area, then known as Short Creek, became the site of a major federal raid that shocked the nation. Today, secular governance has begun to take hold, sect properties have been seized, and new residents are slowly moving in. If Hildale is one half of the story, Colorado City on the Arizona-Utah border is its equally dark mirror. These two towns were once collectively known as Short Creek, a closed community living under FLDS ideology with little regard for state lines. The Arizona to Utah border may exist legally, but socially, it meant almost nothing. For years, Colorado City operated like a town of a single belief system. Streets were lined with uniform, oversized homes built for polygamist families, while outsiders, or even internal rebels, were often shunned or forced out. Young boys were reportedly expelled so they would not disrupt the polygamous structure. Today, Colorado City is slowly changing, but the atmosphere still feels strange, quiet, closed, and like a place still learning how to exist without one dominating voice controlling everything. When it comes to pure weirdness, Eureka is not just an old town. It feels like a town that forgot its era ended. Its empty buildings are not collapsing, but they are not being restored either. They exist in a half-alive state, standing neatly but without purpose. In daylight, Eureka looks almost normal, but once evening falls, the town turns into an empty stage, an old bar glowing on its own, streets too silent, and no clear reason why this place still exists. The strange part is that Eureka is not a ghost town, but it is not truly alive either. The population is small, activity is minimal, and the rhythm is so slow it feels unnatural. Many people describe it as a living ghost town, a place that still breathes but does not move forward. There are no major legends or horror attractions here. The weirdness comes from the atmosphere, from the feeling that you are standing somewhere history should have abandoned, yet somehow it remains. Helper feels strange because it carries too many identities stacked onto one small town. Originally, Helper was a railroad and coal support town. Immigrants from Greece, Italy, Japan, and Eastern Europe arrived and settled here. Even the name Helper comes from its purpose, assisting locomotives climbing steep grades with extra engines. The town grew fast, tough, and built on hard labor. Then the industry collapsed. The mines shut down, trains stopped lingering, and Helper lost its main reason to exist. What remains today is a tiny downtown filled with murals, old buildings, and museums, almost too artistic for a town this small, yet far too quiet to feel fully alive. The weirdness is that Helper feels like a past-era industrial town trying to reinvent itself as an arts town, while still being haunted by the identity it never fully escaped. Technically, Magna is a suburb of Salt Lake City, but it feels like a completely different world. The town grew around a massive copper smelter, heavy industry that shaped everything: the air, the economy, even the attitude of its residents. For years, Magna was known as a place of rough working-class life, direct, gritty, and often looked down upon compared to Utah's cleaner, more idealized religious suburbs. The weirdness comes from that contrast. On one side, you see modest houses, old bars, and streets that feel left behind. On the other, the looming remnants of heavy industry still stand, reminders of the thousands of lives once tied to that smokestack economy. Magna feels trapped in an industrial past while the surrounding region moves toward polished suburban modernity. It is not beautiful, and it is not dead. It is strange because it never quite fits into Utah's ideal story and survives instead through its own rough reputation. In Blanding, the weirdness comes from isolation and an ancient atmosphere that clings to the town. Located in southeastern Utah near ancestral pueblo and sites and endless desert landscapes, Blanding feels like a place forgotten by the modern map. What makes it unsettling is that the town exists between two worlds. On one side, modern life with cars, schools, and daily routines. On the other, the shadow of thousands of years of history that still feels present. You can walk only a few blocks and enter a silence that feels almost mystical, imagining the ancestral Puebloan people who once moved across this land. Blanding is not a ghost town, but its weirdness comes from a deliberate loneliness, an off-grid aura that makes it feel like a desert time capsule. From the desert silence of Blanding, we move into Monticello, a town whose weirdness is less visible, but far more unsettling. If Blanding feels quiet because of distance and ancient history, Monticello feels quiet because of an industrial past that still lingers in the ground and the air. This town once exploded during the uranium boom, when mining brought workers and sudden life. But that boom also left behind something invisible: radiation. Today, Monticello's streets look ordinary: schools, shops, homes, but longtime residents know the darker story beneath the surface. Elevated cancer rates, contaminated soil, and buildings marked by an unseen legacy give the town the feeling of breathing with a secret that never truly left. Its weirdness is not supernatural horror, but the haunting aftertaste of industry itself. From Monticello's radioactive hush, we head toward West Wendover, a town whose weirdness comes from extreme contrast. Where Monticello hides invisible scars, Wendover is openly strange, a casino town planted in the middle of Utah's desert, where Utah's strict social rules seem to dissolve, and Nevada's neon glam chaos spills across the streets. The weirdness lies in the split identity. One foot in conservative Utah, the other in wild Nevada. The town survives on nightlife, gambling, and entertainment, a vibe completely different from the quiet small towns before it. Wendover feels like an upside-down oasis, loud, bright, restless, yet still surrounded by a desert that remains empty and unforgiving. Next, we enter Dugway, a place whose weirdness is rooted in isolation and military mystery. Sitting near the Dugway Proving Ground, a site known for secret weapons and chemical testing, Dugway feels like a town the outside world has forgotten. Its roads are empty, homes are scattered, and the population is small enough to make anyone feel lost in the open desert. Strange stories of UFO sightings and classified activity only deepen the surreal atmosphere. Some locals swear they have seen unexplained lights in the night sky, while others speak of government experiments that make the town feel not entirely real. Dugway's weirdness is not simple horror or social oddity. It is the sensation of living in a controlled, silent place where something unseen always seems to be watching. After the military mystery of Dugway and skies sometimes tied to UFO stories, we arrive in Green River, a small town whose weirdness comes from its strangely different pace of life. If Dugway feels like a place that is watched and silent, Green River feels like a town suspended in its own timeline. It was once an important stop for travelers and railroads, but today, much of it feels as if it has not moved forward since that era. The streets are quiet but orderly, classic gas stations still sit on corners, and old storefront signs seem to resist modernization. The weirdness comes from the sensation of being stuck in time. You can walk through the Green River and feel as though the outside world, city lights, highways, modern speed, never fully reached this place. It is alive, but at a different rhythm, like a film set playing in slow motion in the middle of the desert. Silent, real, and oddly suspended in the air. From Green River's slow-motion atmosphere, we move into Thompson Springs, a town whose weirdness is born from the contrast between a busy past and an empty present. Once, Thompson Springs was an important Union Pacific rail station, a place where locomotives stopped and travelers passed through. Its economy depended on the rails and nearby mines, but once new routes opened and trains stopped lingering, the town gradually lost its lifeblood. Today, only about 150 people remain. Many houses sit empty, shops are closed, and the main road feels like an abandoned movie set. The strange part is this: the town still exists on the map, and there is even an Amtrak stop that occasionally pauses here, yet real daily life is almost absent. You can walk down the street hearing only desert silence, accompanied by the ghosts of trains, workers, and visitors who once filled the town with noise. Thompson Springs is weird because it is still alive on paper, but nearly dead in reality. Then there is Rockville, a tiny town near Zion National Park whose weirdness comes from isolation and its almost microscopic scale. With a population of around 200 people, It has no real downtown. Homes are scattered along narrow roads, surrounded by dramatic red cliffs and open desert land. Its proximity to Zion means hikers and tourists often pass nearby, yet there are hardly any commercial facilities. A few small shops and restaurants exist, mostly run by locals. The weirdness comes from the feeling of a private world. Every home feels like its own island. Cars rarely pass, and the sounds of nature, wind, birds, the Virgin River, dominate over human activity. Even as a living town, Rockville feels like a quiet oasis standing apart, where modern life barely penetrates its slow desert rhythm. Orderville is a small town whose weirdness comes from a social experiment that was almost utopian, yet deeply religious. Founded in 1875 by a Mormon community, Orderville became a test of Mormon-style communal living, where all land, businesses, and property were owned collectively. Residents worked for the shared good, and the town's economy functioned like a form of religious socialism. For several decades, Orderville operated with strict discipline. Profits were distributed equally, labor was assigned based on community needs, and personal consumption was limited. But the experiment could not last forever. By the 1880s, outside pressure, internal disagreements, and the growing temptation of private ownership caused the system to collapse. Today, Orderville is a quiet town of fewer than 400 people and traces of its communal past. Old buildings and an orderly town layout can still be seen. From Orderville's communal history, we move to Silver Reef, a silver mining town whose weirdness comes from geology itself. Unlike most mining towns in Utah, the silver here was discovered not in typical bedrock, but embedded in red sandstone, an extremely rare and unusual geological phenomenon. This oddity triggered an economic explosion in the late 19th century. Hotels, theaters, shops, and saloons rose suddenly in the middle of a dramatic red desert landscape. But the boom did not last. The mines were quickly exhausted, and the town was gradually abandoned. Today, Silver Reef feels like a ghost town in between. A few buildings still stand, dusty storefront signs remain, and empty streets carry the atmosphere of a place that was left behind but never fully erased. Its weirdness lingers in the combination of strange natural history and the fading remains of human ambition. Our journey ends in Corinne, a town whose weirdness is rooted in cultural conflict and deliberate difference. Founded in 1869, Corinne was intentionally established as an anti-Mormon town, where non-LDS settlers could challenge Mormon dominance in northern Utah. From the beginning, this gave the town a distinct identity. Open bars, gambling, and public entertainment flourished. Rare features in the surrounding Mormon communities, the weirdness comes from that contrast. On one side, Corinne is a Utah town surrounded by strict religious culture. On the other, it once served as an oasis of freedom for outsiders wanting to live beyond LDS norms. Today, Corinne remains small, with around 500 residents, and many historic buildings still preserve a 19th century vibe. Corinne is strange because it is a deliberate historical exception, a real social experiment that left an unusual mark on Utah's map.